it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be my September wrap-up. These are the books that I finished during the month of September. And I am doing a reading challenge goal for myself on Goodreads. I want to read 100 books, and so far I have read 78 this year. So I think I'm doing pretty good. So I have 22 books to read in the next 3 months. I think that's very doable, so long as I don't go into any reading slumps. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm also doing an A to Z reading challenge with some of my other fantastic ladies, penning ladies, I should say, that like to read. And unfortunately, none of these books that I read this month fit any of the letters that I haven't read yet. So for the next, I still have 6 letters left. So for the next 3 months, I'm really gonna have to make a plan to make sure that I read those letters. So hopefully I can complete it. So I read 7 books this month, and I read a lot of contemporary romancy books and 1 fantasy. So hopefully you guys will be okay with this. I'm going to start with, I think, the book that I liked the least, and that is Arch Enemies by Marisa Mayer. This is the second book, the follow-up to Renegades, and I don't know what it is about her writing. I find myself, the same thing happened with Renegades and with Cinder when I read the Cinder trilogy. What is the Cinder trilogy? The Lunar Chronicles. That I find myself having to restart the book multiple times before I can get into the story. I don't know what it is about her writing, but I can't say much about this book because this is the second book in that trilogy. I know the book Supernova, I think that's what it is. It's coming out at the end of, I don't know when it's coming out or if it's out already. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick it up. I don't know if I'm interested enough to finish the trilogy. But this book, maybe like the last fourth, that's when it got really interesting to me. But the first 3/4 of it, I was just kind of like, I couldn't really do like a good chunk. I would just read for like maybe like 40-45 minutes, and then I had to put it down because I was just like bored. It just felt like the longest 45 minutes of my life. So I'm kind of sad because I really wanted to love this series, but I don't think I will be finishing it. So that's that one. The next book that I read was The Couple Next Door by Sherry LaPena. This book I purchased in the airport when I went on vacation this month. I have this thing where I have hundreds of unread books, but I love to buy a book at the airport whenever I go on vacation, because then I attach this book to that moment in time when I went on vacation. So I like to look at my shelf and be like, oh, I bought this when I was here, and I bought this book when I went here. It's just kind of like a special thing to me. Anyway, this is The Couple Next Door. This is kind of like a mystery thriller. This is nothing what I expected. You follow these 2 couples, and both couples have secrets, and as you're trying to solve the mystery of the crime that happens in this book, you see how like these people's lives and secrets are really interwoven, but they had no idea, and they start realizing how big of a liar they all are. They're big liars, they're big fakes. Everything they thought about each other is not what they thought. And the crime that was committed here, like, it was not to say that it was refreshing, but like I had never seen a crime that happens here in another story. So I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I read it super fast, and I think I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Then I completed a trilogy. I just read the books back to back, and this is the Mark of the Lion trilogy by Francine Rivers. She is a Christian fiction romance author. I think that's right. And there's 3 books in here. The first one is A Voice in the Wind. The second one is An Echo in the Darkness. And the third one is As Sure as the Dawn. So this is supposed to be a trilogy. However, it felt like a duology and a spin-off, because the characters from these 2 books don't appear in this one. So A Voice in the Wind follows, it's about, I want to say like maybe 40-50 years after Jesus's death, and the Romans are persecuting the Hebrews or the Jews. And so we follow this girl, Hadassah, I think it's her name. I think that's her name, Hadassah. And her family dies, so she's alone, and she's sold into slavery. And she becomes a slave to this Roman family. And of course, the son of the Roman family falls in love with her, but it's kind of like a forbidden love, because not only is there that socioeconomic difference, she is Christian, he is Roman, so there's a whole like forbidden love because of religious differences. But the romance in here is really, really good. Like, it's just good. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I read it super fast, and that's why I read this back to back to back. So the next book number 2, is An Echo in the Darkness. This follows, there's a huge cliffhanger in A Voice in the Wind, and then when you're reading the second one, An Echo in the Darkness, you think it makes it, is that a spoiler? I don't know if I can say it. Let's just say that this one had me on the edge of my seat, because I was under the impression about that certain things had happened, and there's like twists and turns that you don't see coming. And I just love how they fell in love. It wasn't insta-lovey at all. They really fell in love with each other based on their differences, and they had to overcome their differences in order to realize that they loved each other. So, like I said, these two felt like a duology, because when I started reading the third one, As Sure as the Dawn, this follows a character, Atreides. Atreides does appear in these two books, but this is more of his story, and then he also falls in love with a Jewish girl, and he has a hard time like dealing with that. Let's just say that. I loved it. I think I gave the whole trilogy like a 4.5. It can get a little preachy sometimes, but the story as a whole is just beautiful. I love it, and what am I doing? And I would really recommend this to anyone who loves a good romance story, because this is really good. It's beautiful. Then after that, I read Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, and I wanted to love this book, but I was in such a like love high from the Mark of the Lion trilogy that this romance kind of fell short for me. Maybe like the first half of the book I was really bored, and then the last half, this follows a guy and a girl who kind of like, they meet at a coffee shop and they exchange numbers. They kind of become friends. They don't really hang out together. They just kind of talk to each other via text, and they they vent to each other about things that are happening in their lives. And it's not until like mid-book where they start realizing that they have feelings for each other, that's when it kind of got interesting. But the first half, when you're seeing like the world building and the character development for each of them, it's kind of like, it was kind of boring to me. But then I don't know, again, because I was in such a high from the trilogy that I had just read before, that I was expecting like, maybe I should have picked something in a different genre, so I wouldn't compare it like the romance, because it's totally different. So I enjoyed it. I thought about putting this in my books that I'm gonna declutter by the end of the year. I do a big shelf declutter of books, but I think I'm gonna keep it, because I think in the future I would like to give it a reread, and if I feel the same way, then I'll get rid of it. But I think it was mostly because of the mood that I was in that I didn't like it, so maybe that's that one. And the last book that I read was American Panda by Gloria Chow. This book was so cute. I loved this book. I read this in one day, like within 24 hours, not just like one day. I started it in the evening one day, and then I finished it in the morning the next day. But this is so cute. This is about a girl who is it Vietnamese? No, Chinese. She is Chinese, and her parents are Chinese immigrants, and they have very, very strong Chinese convictions, and like the whole cultural thing is clashing with the American side of her. And she kind of goes through an identity crisis. She's supposed to be married to a Chinese guy who is a doctor. Eventually, she falls in love with this Japanese guy who's like, could possibly be like the worst thing that could happen to her family, and her family like disowns her because of that. And she has to go through like all this. It's kind of like I don't know if it would be considered a coming of age, but she does have to find herself in what she believes within her American upbringing and her Chinese like cultural things that her parents tried to instill in her since she was little. So this was super cute. I got this on recommendation from Books and Lala. She was doing one of those videos like, if you like this book, you'll like this book. And I'm glad that I picked it up. It was on Book Outlet for like $3. And I'm glad that I picked it up on a whim, and I recommend it. This is super, super cute. And that's it, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of September. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know of any book recommendations. As always, my Goodreads is in the description box if you guys want to follow me there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.